Hello, welcome to the Creative Writing Life podcast. I'm Justin Sloan.
And I'm Paul Zeidman, and I'm happy to welcome back to the show. It was probably on in one of our earlier recordings. Actor, writer, filmmaker, director. My gosh, he is just all over the place. Gregory Blair. Greg, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Our
Glad to be
pleasure.
here.
Yeah, welcome.
It's great. Yeah, so Greg has a new project we can't wait to talk to him about. And he's also been really busy in the guess what, couple of years since you were last on. And so can't wait to hear all about that.
Been that
But
long? Wow.
first, anything we've been reading or watching? Justin, do you want to go first? I can go first.
Yeah, sure. So playing today, because we're writing in all avenues, talking about games we've been playing. I have two that I've been like playing catch up on and whatnot. So I played Mass Effect back in the day, but it was a long time ago. And so I went back and like played a bit of each of the games. So like one, two, three, and Andromeda. And that's been fun. It's been like a in my head because when you do it all together like that, and then like watch the endings on YouTube and stuff just to like refresh my brain on where they were and like see the new quality of the legendary edition they put out of 1 through 3. It's like whoa. So I'm in a little bit of like this zombie state right now because of that. And then my son and I have been playing Genshin Impact together, and that's this mobile game kind of like Zelda. Some people say it's like a ripoff of Zelda. Probably true. But it's been a lot of fun. So we've been playing the heck out of it. And yeah, that's my zombie state of mind right now. Just video games.
Sure.
You know, like when you're 12 and you play video games all night, and then you wait the next day, you just feel like, oh my God, that's how I feel right now.
Or you're just fueled on what, Skittles and Mountain Dew as well.
Yeah, or Oreos in our case. But yeah.
Of course. Well, hopefully you'll recover soon enough. I've been catching up on some movies. We started subscribing to Peacock because a few things on there that we wanted to watch. So the first thing we watched was, of course, Cocaine Bear, which was it's a goofy, funny, well, I guess horror thriller movie. It was more enjoyable than I was expecting. It kind of was exactly what I was expecting, but better than I was expecting. So I recommend that one. Took me 2 nights to watch Avatar: The Way of Water. And someone had said like the first 2 hours you don't really need. It's really like the climactic third act, the third hour. And I'm gonna agree because that was probably the best part. But a lot of it was kind of predictable, but it was still enjoyable and great effects. And I'm really enjoying the Turner Classic Movies channel on Max, and so I watched the Clint Eastwood classic Pale Rider, and that was just I keep forgetting like, oh, that's right, he directed it too. And so it was great, Clint Eastwood Western. I think it's from like 1985. So recommendations all around. But give yourself, I think the Avatar is kind of like the first 2 hours you can do laundry or fold laundry while you're doing it, but then like
Jim Cameron is hating that you said that.
Oh yeah, because he listens to me. But it's just it. Well, he should, yeah. But I think it's just you can tell that he wrote it because it's kind of like you recognize his storytelling. I mean, it looks great, but it's just, I don't know. It's just a lot of it's kind of drawn out. But again, big, really enjoyable third act.
Cool. That's kind of how I feel about a lot of his movies.
I would just say actually we feel kind of the opposite. I think going back on it, I'm like the first 2 hours were a little more enjoyable, and then by the third, you're kind of like tired, and you get it. Like if there's going to be shooting, there's going to be violence. You know who's going to win. It's like So I was kind of more into the setup of
well,
it.
that's probably why it helped to break it up into 2 nights, because I think I did the first hour and a half to maybe like right before you get to the third act. That's where I stopped, and then the second viewing was just all third act. It worked out for me.
Yeah.
How about you, Greg?
Cool.
What have you been enjoying, reading, watching, whatever?
Gosh, I wish I could remember the name of the book I'm reading now. It's really good, and I can't even remember the name of the author, which is really sad. So I can't like point you in the right direction.
But there is something you're reading.
The name lens, the word lens is in the title. But it's the same writer who wrote another book that was really good that I would also recommend, but I can't remember the name of that book either, so I'm really sorry. But they're really good books. However, I do remember the name of a couple of movies, so that'll be helpful. One was very recently, we watched A Man Called Otto.
Yeah.
Which I had seen a trailer a while back, and I thought, that looks like I've seen that movie, sort of. Then I saw a different trailer maybe a month or so ago, and I was like, this almost looks like a different movie. And I've noticed that sometimes they recut trailers or whatnot, and I guess it speaks to the importance of having a good trailer. Anyway, the second trailer got us to watch it, and we really enjoyed it. It wasn't same old movie you've seen before. Interesting characters, surprising situations. I would totally recommend it easily. And then another one, if you like unusual films, again, because it's not a perfect film, was Knocked at the Cabin.
Okay, that's a Shyamalan movie.
Yes, exactly. I think it's maybe one of his most mature films.
Oh, wow.
Not one of his best necessarily, but the antagonists are for the most part sympathetic, which was interesting. The hero is the wrong word, but the protagonist family, if you were, was a non-traditional family. It's like gay dads and their adopted kid. And I kind of like the philosophical sort of moral quandary it put forth. It's sort of a fresh take on the you're in a boat and it's sinking, and the only way to survive is to throw somebody out, and it's just your mother, your daughter, and your wife. Who do you choose? It's kind of a twist on that. It's not the same. The premise is different, of course, and the or else is totally different too. But I found it refreshing, which you don't see a lot of. So, if you're into, I'd call it a horror film, I guess.
Is it more thriller?
Kind of a hostage, an existential hostage movie, I guess.
Wow. That is the description.
Anyway, yeah, and the lead dude, I'd never heard of him before. Ben Aldrich. Big fan now.
Oh.
He was great. So there you go. Those are my recommendations.
Okay. Well, maybe the book titles will come to you over the course of the conversation.
Yeah.
I should go look it up. It's like it's on my Kindle, and I'd have to turn it on. And 10 years later, the podcast will be over, or everyone will be asleep.
We'll put it in the show notes if we have to. So good stuff there all around. So Greg, tell us. So I know before we get to your new film project, I know you've been very busy as an actor. And I want to say, was it last year or a year before you were in a production of Angels in America?
Yes, that was last year.
Okay.
June. May last year.
Okay. And so what role did you play in that?
I played Roy Cohn.
Oh, wow.
Like one of the most heinous human beings maybe of our lifetime. Because for anyone who doesn't know, he's based on a real person. Obviously, Tony Kushner, the writer, takes liberties.
Sure.
But yeah, so he's pretty horrible through the whole show. But in a way, he's also kind of black humor, comic relief. Because he's also very funny. I guess he's funny because he's so awful. And so yeah, it's a lot of fun because he has a huge. It's like a 3.5 hour. Well, it's 2 3.5 hour plays. Wow. So people come and see one. You come and see Act 1, and then you go have dinner, and then you come back and see Act 2, and then if you have stamina, you come back the next day and you see the second 2 parts.
Oh my gosh.
And so it has all of the characters really have huge character arcs, but he in particular does, because you come into the play and he's like at the top of his game at his most ferocious and hilarious and horrible and all this. And by the end, he's like dying of AIDS and, can hardly breathe. And so it's a huge, it's a great role for an actor to play.
I was going to say, it sounds like a huge undertaking, especially for an actor. I mean, what was it? So 2 parts for each act?
2 parts for each act, because he runs about 3.5 hours.
Wow. So how long? I was going to say, what was the I guess rehearsal or the prep time for you? Was it like a couple of months?
Yeah, I don't remember the actual rehearsal time being much more than any other play.
Hmm.
I think because it's so well written that characters are constantly going in and out of the story. So it's not like anybody is on stage for all 7.5 hours.
Okay.
You know what I mean? We all have time in the dressing room to like drink our water and our coffee and, recharge or whatever. Or like in my case, there was a couple people, there's a lot of makeup because, especially in the second act,
Hmm.
as I get more and more sarcomas and blah, blah, blah. So.
Wow. So how many performances of that did you do?
It only ran about 3 weeks. So we did like, it was obviously like sort of a marathon kind of a
Mm.
thing because we did do the full show on Saturdays. On Saturdays we did the full show each day.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Wow.
it's a great challenge for any actor who really wants to like, do something that they'll remember. Because
Yeah.
to get to voice that dialogue,
Hmm.
Tony Kushner's such a good writer. There are
Seriously.
so many quotable lines, and to get to say that, and plus his use of language, it's very it's very rich and dense and poetic, and it just feels good coming off the tongue and stuff. Even if half of mine are f bombs.
Wow, that's great. I mean, yeah, it must be such an experience to be, especially like the lead in such an important play.
Well, it's really an ensemble piece,
Hmm.
they do, when they do like the awards nominations and stuff, they do seem to separate them into supporting and lead, but sometimes they don't even agree. Like the guy who played Joe in ours, that's the Mormon guy who discovers he's gay. Um, Drama. He was up for Best Actor in one uh, awards, not ceremony. What do you call it? Anyway, one group had him up under Best Actor, and one had him under Best Supporting. And I'm like, who decides this? I mean, to me, he's a lead, but what do I know? I guess everybody plays so many roles, and it just depends on the size of your role. Like my role is so big that my side role was very small. Other people, they have roles that are very 50-50. So it's like divided, or maybe they have like 3 or 4 really amazing roles, but they only have a couple of scenes. So it's just the way the show is written. It's a great show.
Oh, that's great. So have you been doing any other, I guess, any other plays since then, or have you been in any other films since then?
Uh, Not plays at the moment. There, we'll see. There's maybe something will happen. At the moment, I'm a little too busy with my film work. So, because that's the one thing about theater is you do have to like give up everything else to do that. Those two or 3 or 4, however long, many months you rehearse, and however many weeks and or months the play runs. You really can't do anything else
Hmm.
because it takes everything. It's kind of like when I direct a film that absorbs almost all of my energy. So I can't be doing too much of anything else at any one time. It's one of the reasons I don't think I direct that many films, is because I can't just do one right after the other. I have to like recalibrate, and people want me to act or write other films. And, I like to do it all and I can do it all, but not all at the same time all the time.
Yeah, that would probably take a lot out of anybody. So okay, so let us talk about your new film. So I believe you wrote it and you're going to direct it.
Yes.
So can you tell us all about it?
Yeah, no, but I can tell you a little bit about it.
Okay, well, please tell us
Because
how you
there's a
got
lot of
to it.
stuff we're withholding, putting out pieces of information as we go. But basically, it is a drama slash mystery about a woman. It's called The Mystery of Emma Thorn, and it's about a beloved wife and mother who disappears, and the bereft family members and the detective who attempt to try to unravel how and why. And so we have Lynn Lowry playing the title character of Emma. I'm very excited about that. We met a little over 10 years ago at a film festival. My film did the revisions, and she was in, I want to say, Michael Rodriguez's Night of the Sea Monkey, and possibly something else too, because she also got a special award. Well, she was there 2 years in a row, and so was I, for different things. But anyway, so we met the first year we met, and we kind of clicked. And ever since then, we've stayed in touch, and she'll hit me up, message me on Facebook or something and say, anything yet for me, for you and me to do? And it's always like, no. And, it's, so 10 years later, I wrote this script, and normally when I write, I don't ever think of an actor unless I'm writing for an actor, because I like the freedom of imagining whatever it is I need to imagine to help me get into the character, and you know what I mean, I guess, if I'm expressing that well enough.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, though, when I was done, almost immediately I thought of her, and she hit me up and said, anything for me? And I said, well, as a matter of fact. So I mentioned it to her. I said, I have this script. I said, it's not horror, because she does a lot of horror, because, she's famous for, David Cronenberg's film and George A. Romero's film, and on and on, Cat People. I mean, 100 different horror films. And she's continued to sort of fulfill that desire that audiences have for that. And some people, they make a brand and stick to it forever. So I said, it's not that. It's not horror. There's not a drop of blood. Is that okay? And she was like, absolutely, yes. I used to do theater. I love drama. Give it to me. Let me read it. I'm exaggerating, but she was excited. So I gave it to her. I said, okay, let me know what you think, because you never know if somebody's going to like what you've done. And she got back to me the very next day and said, I love it. It's beautiful. I want to play
Awesome.
Emma.
Wow.
And so that's how that happened.
That is high praise indeed.
And pretty much the rest of my cast, which I have not announced yet,
Okay.
they all came back to me right away and were like, oh my gosh, this is so good. I want to do it. Please, please, please. So I'm very happy about that, because I was hoping each one of them would say yes. So I pretty much got my first choice with just about the whole cast.
That's great.
And so that's got me revved and ready to go.
So, okay, so without going into too much detail about the story, I mean, so what was the inspiration for it? And because you said it's more of a mystery. So, I mean, have you written mysteries before, or was this kind of like a new thing for you?
I have written some mystery. The idea for this, oddly, was I got this idea and I thought it was the germ for a horror film. That's what I thought I was going to write. But then as I thought about, okay, what's the situation here? What's the reality of the situation? Let me get into that. And as I got into that, part of the way I write, I think because I'm an actor, is I really get into the character and I become every single character in a way. And getting into the reality of having your mother disappear, and the worry, the fear, the concern, all that stuff, the husband, what could I have done? What might I have done? All of that, it just started becoming a drama because of all that emotion and that reality. And yeah, so it's not a horror film at all now. I very obviously, by the time I finished the first act, I was like, this is not anything like what I thought I was going to write. It's going somewhere completely different, and I love where it's going. So this is what the movie wants to be. I will do that. And so I just kept going in that direction. And the more I went in that direction, the more I loved it. So I was like, yeah, this feels good. Um, and some people at the end of the film may feel it's a little horrific, maybe. But I think most people will fit. Everyone who's read it thinks it's beautiful and moving and very powerful. So, but audiences will take out of material what they take. This is what happens. You make something, you put it out there, and some people love it and some people hate it. Some people think it's extremely well crafted. Other people think, you're a clown and you have no idea what you're doing and get the camera out of his hands. So, that's the nature of life, I guess.
Yeah.
You do you.
Of course. So one last question, I'll toss it over to Justin. So how long did it take you to put it all together? At least I'm not just like the first draft, but until you felt the script was ready.
This script was fast.
Hmm.
It was fast because there's part of it is it's very streamlined. There are very few characters. There are 5 characters, and it just almost flew out of me. That's sort of why, even though I had gone in thinking it was a horror film, it just came out so almost spontaneously, and so with such a driving force that it was like, we're just riding this train and making it go and letting it go in the direction it wants to go. So it happened really fast. I think I wrote it in a month.
Wow, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
And would you say that it sounds like these are probably low budget movies? Would you say that you have a lot of the playwright influence in there? And would you say that this kind of movie, could you make it as a play also? Or do you think it specifically is only a movie?
Oh, I love that question. The answer is yes. You totally could make a play out of this, now that I think about it.
Sweet.
I mean, you would obviously, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of scenes outside, but you could just, this is whenever you have a play and you make a movie, you have to take it outside. This would just be the opposite, reverse engineering that, taking the stuff that's outside and bringing it inside.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, so you could totally do it. I mean, I've made a play version of at least one of my films already.
Oh, cool. And then you produce the play yourself, or how does that work?
No, yeah, I'm sorry. I said that wrong. I took a play and made a movie out of it.
Oh, okay. Was that play one that had also been produced, or was it just a play and then you didn't end up doing anything with this? You made it into a movie?
Yes, the play was produced.
Oh, cool.
The movie has not been.
Okay.
I actually thought I was going to produce the movie because it's very contained too. It's more of it's my New Year's Eve whodunit, and everybody's trapped in this. There's a snowstorm and everybody's trapped, and suddenly somebody drops dead, and it's very typical stuff. But you don't see that kind of thing in the theater very often. I mean, you used to see thrillers on stage, I think more like in the 70s and the 80s. And I don't know, that for some reason, whenever they went out of fashion, you hardly ever see a stage murder mystery anymore. So I wrote one because I wanted to do one. That was probably 10 years ago too, ish. And then we produced it, and then I said, this could make a good movie. So I started writing that script too. So there's an answer to, have I ever written a mystery before? I forgot about that.
Well, it sounds like a lot of the stuff you're involved with has some mysterious elements to it, like Craving has the secret that'll unravel them all. And would you say there's a big theme that you see or that you've approached writing with to begin with? Or is it more something that might have come out of the process at the end of it all?
I'm sorry, say the question again.
Basically theme.
For the dumb blonde in the corner.
Like I see, obviously you have like some horror themes, some thriller things going on, the mystery. And I was looking at like Craving, this movie here. That's yours, right?
Right.
Like,
I didn't make it, but I'm in it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That was one of the acting ones. But yeah, it has that kind of similar, like everything goes to hell, a secret that unravels it all. Like I could
Yes.
see that similar thing. So I was wondering if there's some kind of theme in the movies that you act in and write and all this, maybe playwriting, the theme that kind of goes throughout it all. Like you always are kind of driven towards one project or one type of story ideal.
Ooh,
I'm asking these in weird ways.
come
I
up with all
know.
the good questions. I don't think, I think the answer is no, because anything can draw me to a project.
Mhm.
Um, it might be, uh, oh, well, like Angels in America, or I guess there's a little mystery to Act One, but
Mhm.
there's not exactly a big mystery to Act Two.
Mhm.
It's not because, well, it's not a mystery for one thing, but that's about the characters and the journey.
Yeah.
Craving, I think, uh, yeah, I mean, obviously it's a mystery, but I would say it's more of a horror film than anything else.
Uh-huh.
Well, I mean, it's a little bit of a crime drama too. It's a hybrid
Cool.
movie in a way.
Nice.
Um,
And I wanted to talk about the production side of all this. We could talk about plays as well, I'm sure, but specifically movies, starting with is like so for this one, how are you going about that? This new one coming out. What's the name of it again?
the new one, The Mystery of Emma Thorn.
Mystery of Emma Thorn, writing that in the show notes for now. Uh and then also, so yeah, how are you going about starting on that? Are you crowdfunding? What's the strategy here?
I am doing a crowdfunder that's going to start on July 1st.
Okay, cool.
I've come to the place after all these years. I think it's become clear that crowdfunding is not just uh, a way to raise funds, uh, a legitimate way to raise funds, but it's also a way to raise attention and interest.
Mm,
And it's really sort of a marketing and PR tool. Because even if people don't, participate in the crowdfunder itself, they see it usually because people share it and whatnot. And so the title comes across your eyeballs so that later when the movie comes out, you're like, I heard of that.
mhm.
And familiarity breeds a sense of comfort in a way and makes you go, what was that movie? And so you might look up a trailer or something, and that might lead people to watch the movie. So that's a I think it's a tool that has grown in its value over time. Because I don't think at the very beginning of crowdfunding, people understood and or realized or appreciated that element of it. I think it was
Yeah.
all about helping mom and pop raise some money for whatever. And it's that too, of course. So yeah, we're doing one Indiegogo July 1. Everybody look for it. I don't have the link yet.
Yeah.
And so we'll do that. And I have some other producers and yada, yada, yada that are going to help bring it to life more or less. Um, some are more logistic oriented and
Mhm.
some are more finance oriented. Everybody has I think, something that they're good at
Mhm.
or better at. And, if you know what that is, that's what you do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
did
Did that answer your question?
yeah, for sure. I did a couple of books on Kickstarter, and then book Kickstarter came out. We reached out later saying, "Hey, we're thinking about getting into book launches, like where people would do that not just to raise money for their book, but as a way of having an actual book launch, and maybe even as kind of a publication on their platform." Which I was interested in. I was like, "Oh, curious," because I found that on the book side, it's weird because it kind of cannibalizes your sales because the way that
Mhm.
Amazon works is all about the algorithm and getting exposure. So if you do this in Kickstarter and then you give away any books, so if there's ways to do it without cannibalizing the sales, I was wondering if that's anything you think about on the movie side, if that's even a concern at all, or if you find ways of doing giveaways that don't end up hurting you. But maybe it just doesn't matter because you're going about a total different distribution style than in the book side of things.
Well, I can't speak for everybody, but my goal with the crowdfunding campaign is to make sure that, what I'm aiming for is that the perks that people will, be looking at and be offered and decide whether or not they're interested in. I'm hoping that they are things that people will be excited about. And everybody's excited about different things. So not everybody's going to be excited about the same things. I hope I have a diverse uh, offering as far as that goes. And most of them, even though there is this, I think, emotional value to them, like some people, if somebody has never seen their name on the big screen, that's a big, exciting deal,
Yeah.
So offering something like that, and that costs the production nothing.
Mm-hmm.
We're already having to do credits, and we're already having to list a bunch of names on there. So it doesn't cost us anything to add somebody's name. But, for the person who's never seen their name on screen before, that's cool. And that's
Yeah.
worth maybe tossing a few bucks.
For sure.
I think also, so yeah, most of the perks are not going to cost the production, to answer your question, I think. Cost the production a lot in terms of dollars. Some will, obviously. I'm going to do, excuse me, this combined poster pack. Um, Ooh, is that a hidden one? Oh, well, too late. I'll mention it. Too late. I mentioned it. It's out there because I have some full-size Deadly Revisions posters, full-size Garden Party Massacre posters, and I'm going to get
Nice.
full-size Emma Thorn posters. So if people want some posters, that's going to be one of the perks I offer. And of course, I have to pay for those.
Yeah.
So those will cost the production some money.
Are you giving
But
out copies of the movies as well, or would they have to go
oh
view
no,
it
yeah,
after?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
A lot of the perks are there. There'll be a one that's strictly just a DVD or a Blu-ray, your choice, whatever. Then also other perks that offer other things. There will be add-ons, and so you'll get this plus, say, a DVD or Blu-ray. So there'll be different options for that based on different levels, and also if you don't want something physical media, although boy, is that an interesting topic, we'll do digital downloads of the film, or I think I'm even doing digital downloads of the script
Oh, cool.
for people who are interested in what does it look like on paper and
Yeah.
how does that change when you make the movie, because it always does.
Yeah. But your real goal here is exposure and getting that word of mouth going, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And so we'll see. So yeah, I mean, I think everybody's like, we want to make sure we hit our goal and get all our money and yada, yada, yada. And that's true. But I think even if I don't make my goal, let's say, the amount of reach that I get, I would never have gotten if I didn't do the crowdfunding campaign.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like going to be a win no matter what. I think that's the right attitude to have.
Yeah. Really cool. Cool. Paul, any more back to you?
Yeah, actually, so my question is, so once, okay, everything goes according to plan and you produce the film and it's all set, what's your plan for after that? Are you going to go with the festival route? Do you want to like seek distribution? Are you just going to, I guess, because we did watch Garden Party Massacre and we watched that on Amazon. So
Okay.
are you going to, I guess, try to have it available through a streaming service?
Absolutely. We will. The festival circuit is another one of those things that it has two sides to it. Yeah, you want to be an official selection and you want to get awards, but at the same time, it's also about exposure. People see your movie, talk about it, whatever. And for a lot of us indie guys, I think going to festivals is great because you network. I met Lynn at a festival. If I hadn't gone, I mean, my film got in there, and I even think it won some awards. But if I hadn't gone, I wouldn't have met Lynn. So I think it's important to go. I think that they're great networking tools, or opportunities, I should say. Some people don't believe in festivals at all, and that's okay. Um, Obviously, there's a huge range of festivals and their value. I mean, if you get into Sundance or Tribeca or one of those, Toronto, yada, yada. I mean, obviously, there's some cachet there that isn't in, you know, Poughkeepsie Shlomo Pincus Film Festival. But every film that you as every filmmaker's at a different level, and so work at the level you're at. I think reach for maybe one rung higher. Why not? I mean, I've submitted all my films to Toronto and yada yada yada. They've never gotten in, but that's okay. I reached. Maybe one day, yes, right. Emma Thorn could be the one.
That's what I was thinking.
I feel like I went off on a tangent there. Did I answer the question?
Well, it was like
I know.
What was your plan for after the film's
What's
complete?
coming next? So probably some festival circuit of some sort. I don't know. Definitely distribution. All of my other films, my other two features, I did traditional distribution. And so I think because I'm comfortable with that, I'll probably do that again. I know a couple of distribution companies that I feel pretty confident will put out my movie, so I'm not concerned about distribution from that angle. I'm lucky that way, I guess, because I'm not a first-time filmmaker. They know who I am. They know my movies, get out there and blah, blah, blah. The other thing I will look into, though, is self-distribution, because nowadays, I mean, again, that was something you couldn't do 10 or so years ago. And a lot of filmmakers are doing that. And so I'm going to explore that a little bit, I think, before I make my final decision on. But yes, the film will get distributed. That's not an issue. You'll be able to see it once it's done.
I have one follow-up actually, and I'm done for this one. Does the strike affect you at all?
Well, yes and no. As this film is, I'm not in the Writers Guild, so on that hand, no. On the other hand, I totally support the strike. So it's an interesting place to be. It's an interesting time to be a filmmaker or, well, an actor, a writer. It's kind of the same for everybody, a director, because it's all coming together. I'm excited about it. Maybe I'm foolish, but I think I'm optimistic that this solidarity will bring about positive, valuable change. In the meantime, right, we're not going to be shooting this till next year, probably May or October. So hopefully the strike is over by then.
Oh gosh, I sure hope so.
Even though I'm not in the WGA, I would hope it's over by then. So the answer is, does it affect the production? No, because we're not there. Does it affect me personally? Yes, because it matters. It should matter to every artist.
Sure. Paul, anything closing out here?
No, I was going to say, I kept thinking, you said it's a July 1st is when the crowdfunding starts, and I realized, oh my gosh, we're in the middle of June, and it felt like it was so far away, and then I realized it's just a couple of weeks
50
away.
days, I think.
Yeah.
I know. It's funny how moment to moment things change. It's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this week has seemed so long. And then it's like, oh my gosh, it's July already practically. Wow. So, I think that's almost true, though, of our whole lives, right? It's like, oh, this year took forever. And then it's like, oh my God, I'm how old this year?
And you said it's going to be on Indiegogo?
Yes, it'll be on Indiegogo July 1st. That's when it's going live. That's when we're launching. We'd love everybody to give just a little. I mean, literally $2, because we get a lot of contributors in day one. It just boosts the reach of the campaign. It's like, oh, look what's a popular. We can end up on different pages. Look what's a popular Indiegogo campaign. Ooh, again, more eyes. PR, maybe more contributions as a result too. But so that's sort of our day one goal, is to get as many people just throwing a couple of bucks our way. If you see perks that excite you that are pricier, but that's what you want, yeah, you can do that too. But the push is to just get as many contributors as we can on day one.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
not everybody's got more than $2 to throw.
yeah.
So
And we have had other writers and creatives on the show before who have done their crowdfunding, and they say that a lot of people, when they go into it, they don't realize how much work it's going to be. Because yeah, you want that big boost on day one, but you have to be like that excited and that supportive throughout the entire thing. And then even as it gets close to the finish line, you're it's almost like your adrenaline and your anxiety both ramp up exponentially on a daily basis.
it's a huge undertaking. I think a lot of people don't really appreciate until they get into it. I think Indiegogo is pretty good about kind of preparing you. Say, this is what you need to do 3 months before you do it. This is what you need to do 2 months. This is what you need to do. And I mean, it's a lot of work. This is what I'm talking about when I'm doing a film. In this case, part of it is crowdfunding, but all investor reach out, even traditional investor reach out, that takes time. You need to pick up the phone and talk to people and maybe take them to lunch and I mean, it all is a huge amount of time and energy. And so this is just your energy is you're doing something different. But yeah, and then every day during the crowdfunder, you've got to be paying attention to what's happening, responding to questions that people toss at you on the site. They're like, hey, I didn't know this perk, what? You've got to be there for that. You've got to be reaching out on all your social media pages going, hey, don't forget, we're still here, and so, yeah, it's like having a full-time job, really.
Mhm.
I don't know I'm lucky enough that this is sort of my full-time job. So people who have a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or whatever and crowdfund, that's gotta be, I'm sure I'd be bald and dead if I tried to do that.
I was going to say exhausting, but I guess it's probably a little better than bald and dead.
Yeah. Well, hopefully by the end of this one, I won't be either, but
Mhm.
bald would be okay. I'm good with that.
Okay. That's great. So, okay, July 1st on Indiegogo, The Mystery of Emma Thorn, Gregory Blair. He wrote it, he's going to direct it, and he's going to most likely distribute it. Oh, this has been fascinating discussion and really, really, great to hear. And it's great to see you so excited about it as well.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I usually when it's one of my own films, I get really excited. If it's a good project and a good role and I'm acting, I'm excited too, definitely. But sometimes as an actor, you say yes, I'll do that, and not your dream role or anything. But
Yeah.
this considering it's taken 10 years to work with Lynn, this is kind of a dream. So.
That is fantastic.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thank you again, Gregory, for coming on the show. Did you want to do any more shout outs? Did you mention where people can find you on social media and all that?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I'm at the Gregory Blair everywhere. I think that's it on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Emma Thorn page on Facebook. It's The Mystery of Emma Thorn. Just look that up. It also has its own webpage as well. It's on IMDb, obviously. Soon it'll be on Indiegogo, July 1st.
There you go. Yeah, we'll make sure to post this pretty soon so that people have enough time to listen and actually go find it. And if it's after the fact, you're listening to this 3 years later or whatever, I'm sure it'll be available for you to go grab and check out, everybody.
Yeah, it's all good.
All right.
Cool.
Okay.
Any last things, Paul?
No, I think that was it. Yeah, Greg, once again, thank you so much. This has been a great talk as always, and really good luck with the crowdfunding and with the film overall.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always fun to talk to you guys.
Our pleasure.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. And listeners, if you can leave reviews, that'd be awesome. Spread word of mouth. We always appreciate it. And once again, I'm Justin Sloan. You can find my books on Amazon.
I'm Paul Zeidman. You can check out my screenwriting blog, MaximumZ, at maximumz.blog. I've got books on Amazon too, the Go Ahead and Ask series about screenwriting and pie. I'm also on Twitter at maximum_Z. Like he said, he's Justin. That's Gregory Blair. I'm Paul Zeidman. This has been the Creative Writing Life podcast. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, go write something.